Welcome to the Sam and Joe VA Show, where we teach women just like you how to start and scale a thriving virtual assistant business.
We're your hosts, Sam and Joe, and get ready to have the control, flexibility, and freedom you've always dreamed of.
Welcome to episode 212, the Workweek reality for VAs, why you can't bill every hour you work.
You can't. This episode is for our aspiring and newbie virtual assistants because it is real talk time. We would hate for those aspiring and newbie virtual assistants that listen to the podcast to not be aware of what an actual work week is like for a virtual assistant. We would hate for aspiring and newbie virtual assistants thinking, hey, my goal is to work 20 hours a week, not realizing that that 20 hours a week is not all going to be billable.
And so when you start to do your calculation of what you're going to charge and you times it by how much you're going to work, you may be under a bit of an illusion as to how much you can actually earn per year as a virtual assistant. And we don't want you to do that calculation wrong, thinking that you're going to be able to earn X number of dollars and then, starting getting some clients and then realizing like, why am I not making the money that I was expecting?
Yeah. You may have heard us talk about how virtual assistants can be 100% productive for their clients. And then your brain has heard that and gone 100% productive, 100% revenue. Just doesn't work that way.
Wouldn't it be lovely if you just had to do client work? And
oh my gosh, that would be
there
the
was nothing
dream.
else.
Right? And even for us with our VA Foundry hats on, not necessarily our VA business owner hats on, wouldn't it be lovely if you didn't have to worry about all that? If every single bit of time you're putting into the business was billable, was revenue, that would be incredible. But that's just not how business works. Any business.
Yeah, if there is a long list of things that will come into play that you will need to do as a business owner. Yes, in the future, these are some things that you can outsource later, but there's still going to be a component of your work week that is going to need to do non-billable activities inside your business. It's just the reality.
Yeah. Before we go into that big long list, because it is a long list, and it's probably not even an exhaustive list. Like it's probably goes on even further. This is just kind of like the things that initially come to mind for us. But let's talk about, okay, if you can't have 100% of your work week being billable, what would be a realistic percentage of those? If we were going to get, say, 20 hours, right? Aspiring virtual assistant wanting to work or has 20 hours available to work. How much of that is actually going to be billable?
Yeah, this is where we think the 80-20 rule comes into play, and it's very accurate for what we've seen in the industry, what we experienced ourselves. 80% of your time maximum is able to be billed. There needs to be 20% of time put into the other activities in your business. So in a 20-hour work week, there are going to be 4 hours that you will need to put into the other things that come up in your business or the things that you intentionally need to do in your business to make it successful.
Yeah. And I feel like that's being actually quite generous. Like that's a virtual assistant business owner that isn't going to overthink every single social media post that they're creating. That is very comfortable doing their invoicing and their taxes and their GST if they're thinking about doing GST straight away. Do you know what I mean? It's assuming that all of these tasks that we're going to talk about, these non-billable tasks, come naturally to that newbie virtual assistant.
Yeah, 4 hours is not a lot of time. Like 80% billable is your maximum that is even possible with really intentional, focused work time in those 20 hours. This is tracking your time properly. This is tracking everything that you do for a client. And it's been really intentional and focused on the things that are non-billable in your business.
And I know, Joe, there is going to be somebody that is listening to this that goes, okay, yeah, I can understand why those things aren't going to be billable. That's not, revenue generating activities that I'm doing. Yeah, but I'm not going to be doing them every week. Or maybe there's going to be some weeks where I'm really, really busy with client work and I could do with the extra money. So I just won't bother with these other things. Now, this is a slippery slope and a really bad mindset to have as a business owner.
And really unrealistic too. Like, so you're saying you're not going to check your business emails for a whole week?
Yeah. You're not going to show up on social media. You're not going to do any lead generation.
You're not going to answer a lead if it comes in?
What about the phone? What happens when your phone rings? You're not going to answer it? Like if it's not a client? It's a slippery slope. You start putting your client work first and letting your business admin just ignore it, pretend it doesn't there. If it's no longer a priority, you then fall into this place where when you do lose one of those clients of yours, you don't have a funnel there. There is no warm leads ready to take their spot. And then you'll panic, and then you're in desperation mode. You're not invoicing in time, so your cash flow's shitty. There are so many consequences, not good consequences, to not making this 20% of non-billable time a priority.
And this is what we call over in the Scale Up Mastermind, your CEO time. This is how you have a successful ongoing business. And like Sam says, where you're not in that feast and famine cycle, where you're actually in a sustainable, profitable business because you are putting 20% of your time each week into CEO time.
Yeah. And if you're listening and you're going, oh, but I haven't registered as a business, like I'm self-employed. Dude, you've still got to have this time. There is no escaping it.
Yeah, there is no escaping it.
Okay.
That is the reality for sure.
Yeah. Let's go through the list of things that come to mind when we initially think of non-billable tasks, non-revenue generating jobs that you're going to want to ignore, but you can't.
Yeah. I mean, there's some future revenue generating things, right? To bring in more clients. And that would be your marketing.
Yeah.
Showing up on socials, like being visible, being the face of your business.
Do you think people are just going to knock at your door without doing that?
Yeah.
Socials, showing up. As you said, you've got to show up. Even if you're just in LinkedIn. You only need to be in one place, right? If that's the bare minimum, if you're like, right, I'm putting all my eggs in LinkedIn's basket, you still have to be showing up there.
Yeah.
Just chatting with leads, building relationships, right? Relationship building.
Yeah. Following up any leads that you have had or discovery calls that you've had or proposals that are out there, doing your follow-up. Absolutely a CEO task you should be using your 20% of time to do.
Actually having the discovery calls. How many brand new virtual assistants do you know that had been able to sign up every single lead that they've had a discovery call on? Takes time.
Yeah. Managing your own inbox, your own business inbox. There are going to be emails coming in there, hopefully some leads, some inquiries coming in there. You'll need to be checking your emails regularly.
Networking, whether that's in person or online, that is still your time. You're still showing up somewhere, somehow.
Yeah, because is it that some virtual assistants don't see these kind of things like networking as work time?
Possibly. Yes, they might be seeing it as I'm just getting my social kind of needs met by being in this place. Maybe.
Yeah, it's part of your work week.
Yep.
Invoicing and bookkeeping, like actually keeping your accounts up to date.
Oh my God, this should be at the top of the list, Joe.
If you are not invoicing, you are going to have a very serious cash flow problem. And your clients are going to get annoyed about that too if it's not regularly done. And when you have agreed to send the invoice, if it's not sent, the clients are going to be expecting them. So regular invoicing and bookkeeping.
Yeah. Regularly checking your metrics and reports. What's working? What's not? This is
How
really
much
important.
Yeah, how much tax do you need to put aside? How much savings do you need to have? You need to be looking at that stuff.
Yeah. Planning. Like, I think people hear us talk about planning, business planning, goal setting, and all that, going, oh, that's not necessary. Really?
It is if you wanna have a intentional and successful business that you actually want, not just a default one that kind of, you take opportunities that fall in your lap, but nothing else. Well, that's not gonna get you the business that you want.
No, being reactive never
Mm.
ends well in terms of things like that, right?
Yeah.
And what new or aspiring virtual assistant do you know that doesn't want to upskill or need to upskill
Mm.
or have any type of professional development or take that course, turn up to that workshop, join that mastermind? This
Mhm.
is work time.
Yeah, sure is. Very important CEO learning time. What about implementing the things that you learn in those coaches, coursing, professional development, upskilling, right? Because you can't just learn and then do nothing with it. You actually need time to put this stuff in place to improve your business, to implement new things.
Oh, if you're not implementing, what was the point in spending those hours doing the learning? That's just a waste. Yeah. Tech issues. Oi, the amount of hours I've spent trying to fix something myself or
Yeah.
learning, going, okay, this isn't working. I need to talk to somebody, or I need to Google this. I need to watch this YouTube video in order to fix this. I need to spend an hour on a help desk with somebody about this
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah. Wouldn't
Tech.
it be great if tech just worked all the time? But
Oh,
the
yeah.
reality is it does not. What about new tools like researching, figuring out, implementing what is a new tool that you need to implement in business so that you can streamline something, do something quicker, more efficiently. Maybe learn about a tool that you're going to implement, but then implement for your clients too. That all
Mm,
takes time.
yeah. Proposals, preparing a proposal. Yeah, we want you to have a template that your all of your proposals are based off. We have them. We give part of like launch in 30 days and the scale up mastermind. But there is going to be some work that you need to put into those
Mm.
proposals in order to personalize them.
Yeah. And then what if you have an unhappy client? You're not going to track your time dealing with a client that's disputing something or unhappy or complaining or, rectifying a mistake or something like that.
Hmm.
You're not going to be charging for those things, those conversations. So that's all
Yeah.
going to come out of your non-billable time.
Yeah. And then, like, that's just the icing on the cake. If you have then brought on subcontractors, you've grown your team, whether that's client facing or non client facing, there is even more things to add to this list.
Yeah. I feel like as soon as you have a team, your billable percentage dramatically has to drop
Hmm.
because there's going to be a whole bunch of other things that you are dealing with in terms of the team, training, team meetings, making sure that they're doing a good job, reviewing things. That's all going to come into play and give you the ability to have less time available for billable hours. And that's good. That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because now your team are the ones that are bringing in the profit for you rather
Mm.
than you being the one that's generating all the revenue.
What happens, Joe? What happens if there is a VA business owner who's either grown their team or is growing their team who isn't prepared for that even greater drop in billable time, billable hours? Like, what happens if they're really fighting this?
I feel like they are on a path to burnout very, very quickly because you're going to have to do even more hours. There are things that you must do and deal with. So if you're booking yourself out 40 hours a week in client work and expecting that you don't have to do extra hours when you have a team, that you're going to burn out because you are going to be forced to do those extra hours and you are going to then have a lot less headspace to do a great job for your clients. You might see clients leave, you might see team members leave because you're not giving them the time and the support that they deserve as a team member. So that is a quick path to an unsuccessful business and complete burnout.
And this is why if anyone has downloaded our free pre-scale checklist, they would have seen that one of the things on there is having a plan in place to step away from client work. And we actually have that plan inside the Scale Up Mastermind.
Yes.
All there. It is so
No.
important. Now, Jo, I'm going to put you on the spot. We hadn't planned on
I'm used
talking
to
about this. We're used to this. We're used to this. Sticking with the agency owners, those BAs with teams. If we're talking about for the freelancers, you're only going to be 80% in terms of in terms of the hours that you work. Only 80% maximum is going to be billable. Maximum is going to be billable. What would that percentage be for the average agency owner?
Oh, the maximum that could
maximum.
even be viable,
Yeah.
I would probably say 50%.
That is a big drop.
Maximum.
That is a big
If
drop.
you were actually doing a good job in your business, being the CEO, implementing all those things, implementing new things, looking at your reporting and metrics, onboarding your clients well, your team members well, being there to support them, reviewing the work that they're doing, making sure they're time tracking, all of that stuff, you could not do a good job if you were doing more than 50% billable yourself. And that would be maximum. The lower the percentage, the better if you have a team. You've just got to balance up and do it kind of over time so that you keep profitable, right? And keep being able to pay yourself.
Yeah. And for the agency owners with team members, are those percentages similar, that kind of 80% billable in terms of your team members? Like what productivity percentage should you be expecting from a individual team member?
This depends a little bit on your model. So if you have employees, 80% is pretty up there in terms of what is possible for a team member, because there's still going to be their own kind of admin in and around their work, plus breaks. They need to go on bathroom breaks, morning tea, afternoon tea breaks. They also are going to have, team meetings that they need to come to that are going to be non-billable. So 80% feels, in my business, felt realistic for people. It was a push, but some of them went slightly over that.
Yeah.
If you don't have employees and you have subcontractors, it can be in the really late 90s, depending on what your other expectations of them are. So if you have them come to a team member, then that will obviously be part of their non-billable time, which reduce their percentage. If you are not having team meetings, then it can really be like almost 100%, because each subcontractor is their own business owner. So they need to do their own admin at their time, their cost, not at your cost as the agency owner.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Then they should be tracking all of their planning, thinking, coming in, having a look at the task. All of that time should all be tracked to clients. So that's why they can be right up there in the late 90s.
Is there anything we haven't covered? Like, I feel like this is going to be so valuable for VAs that may get caught up in the excitement of, I'm available this many hours and I'm going to get paid for every single one of those hours.
Yeah, well, if you come in and you're like, okay, I'm committed to doing a 40-hour work week. I'm used to that. I can do 9 till 5:30 or 8:30 till 5, whatever it is. Have that half-hour lunch. Okay, that means 40 hours times my hourly rate. Let's say you're going to charge out at, $70, $80 an hour. You're thinking, wow, I can earn a lot of money doing that. So let's do the calculation. Let's say you're going to charge $80 an hour. We're talking New Zealand dollars here, times 40 hours, times 52 weeks, because let's say you forget that you're going to have holidays. You could be earning $166,000 as a virtual assistant. Now that can look really enticing for a new person coming in. Okay, $80 an hour. Yep, that's decent hourly rate, and I can do that for 40 hours. I can earn way more than I can in a 9-to-5 job.
At this point, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. At this point, newbie Sam is going, this feels like I should have been doing it for the past 10 years and then it's going to be easy as fuck. This is easy money in the bank.
Yeah. And that's something that we want to make sure you're very realistic about, because there are a whole bunch of things that come into that. This topic, you cannot bill every single work hour that you do, 80% maximum, but also holidays. Other times that you won't be able to do 40 hours. Maybe you have a long weekend, maybe you go on holiday, maybe your kids are sick, maybe you're sick. So there are a bunch of other things that are going to bring that down. And then also you're going to have your overheads. So what are your monthly expenses going to be? And also, what if you lose a client and then you go for a week and you don't have 10 hours of work that you're expecting?
Yeah.
So all of these things come into play that will make that lower. But we think that you can still make a really great income. We've done can VAs earn six figures? And they absolutely can. But there are some intentional things that you'll need to put in place and get the foundations right and be focusing your time in the right places to actually earn that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's an incredible, the VA space is an incredible place to earn a more than decent income. Definitely replacing your 9 to 5 plus more. As you said, that we have virtual assistants that are earning the six figures. But you just need to be realistic in terms of the time you have available and how you're spending it. That is the reason for this particular episode.
Yeah.
This is one of the great things about the virtual assistant pricing calculator that we have available, though, isn't it, Jo? This is all built into it.
Yes. Pricing calculator is not just a simple calculator where you put in how many hours you're going to work a week and then what your hourly rate is going to be. It's going to spit out what hourly rate is that you can charge to get that amount that you want to earn per year. It's not as simple as that. There's a bunch of things that come into it. You will put in there what your overheads, an estimate of your overheads, and you'll also put in how billable you expect you can be, because as you've just realized, you cannot be 100% billable. So this helps bring that into the calculation and also bring in your tax liability as well.
So we really hope this episode helps you just have a more realistic view in terms of your capacity, your time, and how you'll be spending it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sam and Jo VA Show. If you'd like to find out more, head to the VA Foundry website to check out the mastermind and the amazing resources, courses, and coaching.
You can find us at thevafoundry.com.